If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and go to training.mammothinteractive.com where we have tons of more videos just like this. Hello everyone and welcome back to building collectible coins. Previously, we learned how to increase the player's score upon collision with a coin object. In this lecture, we are going to learn how we can actually take that score and increase it dynamically during the game. All right, so let's go ahead and get to work. Join me back in your project and we're going to open our score graph. So I'm going to go into my canvas, grab my score, and then edit the score graph. Here in the score graph, we have on start where we have our setting of the text. Here we set text by grabbing the score variable and converting it to a string. I'm also going to add on update so that every frame of the game I'm going to check if the score has changed, and if so, I'm going to set the text of my score text. Now, doing it every frame of the game, that is quite performance intensive, so you can actually reduce the number of times that you do the check. If you don't want to do it every frame of the game, you could do it every second instead. Or you could trigger a change and trigger an event when the score has changed. But this is the easiest way, so we're just going to go with the easiest way for now. And that way you have a quick prototype built out. And if you want to optimize the graphs, optimize the game later, you can do so. So I'm going to right click and search for on updates and add that node. Then on update, I'm going to drag and create an if block, which is going to check if the score has changed. So how do we check that? Well, we check if the score variable equals the text in the GUI. If not, that means the score has changed and the GUI needs to be updated. So I'm going to drag off here a node from this toString and check for string equality. I'm going to check if the string equals, and the value that I want to check is get text from my uGUI. So I'm going to search up uGUI get text. So then I can take the result, true or false, and use it as my condition. So this condition will be, does the score variable equal the text in the user interface? If true, it means everything is fine. We don't need to update anything. But if false, it means we have to update the Text Mesh Pro. So we can use this same node that we already have, and we can travel to it if there needs to be an update. So now we can close our script graph and we can press play. And we can inspect our changes this time. So take a look. Now the score is being dynamically updated whenever I collide with a coin. So that is a great sign. It tells me that I'm able to successfully here update my score dynamically. And you can see what happens when we die. Okay, we're at 17. It looks like sometimes our final score does not get updated. So let's debug that coming up next. We're also going to learn how we can delete the coins when they get collided with, because once we collide with a coin, that should be considered that we collected the coin. So don't miss the next lecture. Welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to debug why the final score is sometimes not updated. The reason being, if you take a look at your game over scene and you go to the final score value, if you edit its graph, it's actually the same graph that we used for score. So we actually have to use a separate graph for our final score. So I'm going to, here, instead of using my score graph, I'm going to go into my assets and I'm going to right click on the score graph, and you can duplicate it. Well, you can just click on it and then hit Command C, Command V, or Control C, Control V. Then I'm going to right click, rename it to Final Score. Then for my final score value, I'm going to use the final score graph instead of the score graph. Then I can edit that graph. And here, I'm just going to revert it back to what it was. So I don't need update or getting the text or checking this condition, I just am going to here set the text of my score value to be the value of the application variable. That way, when the scene begins, which is this scene, the game over scene, we just set the text. So if I press play this time, we can test out the game again. All right, so just make sure you go to your scenes and then start with the init scene. You can save all your scenes. Start with the init scene and press play. Then you can increase your score perhaps to 2 or even a bit higher, like to 4. And then you can see when you die, the final score is preserved. All right, so that is a good sign. This tells me that we've been able to debug successfully. And we can see if I have a score of 5 or 7, right, that's preserved. Awesome, so we were able to debug the final score not being updated. So now the final score is updated successfully. Coming up next, we're going to learn how we can delete our coins upon collision. So that way we can only collide with a coin once and then it will be considered collected. So don't miss the next lecture. Welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to learn how we can delete the coin after it's been collided with. So for that, I'm going to go into my project assets folder and open the coin. We want to edit the coin graph. So currently we have on collision enter being processed for being able to recognize when the coin collides with a player. I'm also going to now delete the coin when we actually perform this collision. So I'm going to drag off another wire and I'm going to call here delete, more specifically destroy. So this will allow me to destroy my object. You can also optionally wait an amount of time before destroying, or you can destroy immediately. So I'm just going to destroy immediately here. This node needs an object to destroy. So we can use this, all right, if we want to destroy the object. However, if it doesn't appear in the list of objects to destroy, then we're going to choose a different option here for destroying. So we have destroying component. We also have destroying game object. So we can choose removing a game object, component, or asset, or destroying a Unity object, which means, again, game object, component, or asset, specifically of the Unity object type. So let's choose game object destroy this time. And we want to select this as the object. So I'm going to here search for this. You can also make a reference to this by right-clicking and looking for just this, like that. Then we can drag this as the object to destroy. So if you don't see this appear, then you can just use a node that says this. And you can use either component, game object, or Unity game object. We can close the graph and test out the game this time. So I'm going to press play and start the game, and look at that. This time, if I collide with a coin, my score still increases, but now my coins, they also disappear. All right, and we can check to see if our score is still being updated properly. So I have 3 and 7 as my score. All right, we can check to see if it gets updated. Okay, looks like our final score gets set to 0 this time. So we just want to make sure that the final score is still being updated, that we didn't make any changes there. All right, so here we have on collision enter. If the collision is true, then we set the score variable. So that should increase. Then we log out a message and then we destroy the game object. Looks like we have an issue with the final score. So we can go into the final score script. Okay, and looks like our nodes were deleted from there. That's why. So just make sure that here you have your final score script. Looks like when I did my saving, I didn't save my final score, so I just have to bring it all back. All right, so I'm just going to remove anything from final score that is not required. Just keep what's required. Awesome, and then I can try my game again. This time my final score actually has some nodes in there. That was just a bit of a glitch. All right, so now I can collect my coins and increase my score. And then let's check that the score is preserved at the end. And awesome, there we go. Now our score is indeed being preserved at the end. So that is a good sign. This tells me that we're successfully being able to delete our coins but still preserve that score and then show that final score. That is how we can delete coins that we have already eaten. I will see you next time. If you liked this video, then go to training.mammoethinteractive.com. We have tons more content on blockchain, web development, machine learning, and much more. We also have a membership for just $19 a month where you can get access to our 372 course bundle and counting.